working. All right. What we got? Are we on? All right. Connected to Restream. We are connected to Twitch. Let me just quickly to Restream. Yep, sound is working on Twitch. And YouTube. Late, but better late than never. All right, welcome to Code Hangout number 231. Today I am going to go back to the Markdown we worked on a couple weeks ago and see if I can finish it off. And if I remember what we were doing. So, let's see. I'm trying to remember if I got it integrated. There's an issue because I've done some work on something else in the meantime. This was some performance related stuff. Okay, so let me finish that first. Okay, so this is testing of the Umami integration, which we got working. So that one I can remove. So let's clean that up first. Remove. I still need to work on that, but not today. So let's discard changes. All right. This was the parser. Okay. This is part of the replay optimizations I was working on. Okay. So there was an issue. Like, when did I work on this? Multiplayer Sudoku bit. Yeah. This was before the SudokuCon, before after the SudokuCon live stream, so or during even. So this is literally just a minor redo. Replay done has been moved. Replay done. All right, let's have a look at that just to make sure I know what I'm looking at. So that's feature fog. So I basically was working on a couple of, yeah. All right, so I need to separate these out because these optimizations I'd like to keep, but I need to shelve them. So I think for the parser, the only update that relates to the Markdown stuff is here. Ciao, guys. So what we're probably gonna do is we're gonna just copy and paste this one quickly. Then we're gonna revert this. Utilities discard changes, right? And now the rest should be all that stuff. Can I double click this to open? No. No. Light edit, no. Open in. Can I just drag it? No. All right. Large puzzle. Large puzzle. Here we go. And sorry if my layout is a bit odd because I think I've been fiddling with some stuff for like meetings and stuff. So large puzzles. We are here looking at 72. So I just want to get rid of that. So what did we do? I added this one comment here. That's fine. And I basically moved the update. I renamed it to update raw transform. And then I basically said, okay, this should not happen more than once per frame at most. Raw update transform. Yeah, because I think I noticed that it could try to redo it multiple times per frame, which obviously doesn't make any sense. So when you're dragging the puzzle, it would actually recalculate or re-render it multiple times, which in reality should never be an issue, but this would prevent that. So I'm gonna add a comment here. Prevent this from running faster than 60 FPS. And we might want to in the future change this to 30 FPS, right? Same thing with the stream tool. I think we had a similar problem with the updates coming from the network. So we throttled it over here somewhere. 365. So yeah, I think what would happen is during loading of the puzzle, it would potentially push the updated state back and forth multiple times. So by saying, hey, wait at least 200 milliseconds, so while the puzzle is loading, don't necessarily push the state multiple times, all right? I don't think that needs particular comments here. The feature fog part, I think it had a similar issue where the fog was updating more often than necessary. So, and that's a general problem. Like, I don't have a good centrally managed event system where it says, hey, everybody, you know, wait till, like, I'll let you know when to do the thing. Especially since an empty puzzle gets loaded in the while the actual puzzle gets loaded. So an empty puzzle gets initialized first. And I think that's something in the future I'd like to avoid. You know, we just want to have a loader and load once and not initialize everything twice or 3 times. Okay, so what happened here? So in line 400, we had an initial render fog, which we moved down. So it was happening before the event handlers. So I think this fixes an issue where the fog doesn't fully get initialized correctly because other event handlers don't run. Okay, then we added replay done. Replay done. So we just added that as well. I feel like this should probably be throttled as well. But I think we already have something. I don't know. Because start loading, like all of these will trigger during the loading process of a puzzle, potentially. We'll probably want to throttle this. I'm gonna add a comment to do throttle this. All right, and then here we just moved these off app to puzzle and we added the replay done. That's all we did. Okay, so I'm kind of okay with all of these. I'm actually even okay with putting these into beta. I think that's all right as well. I mean, if they break in beta, that's fine. Let's see. Line 428 something. Nope. 4289. So, okay, so this is in my mind still a little controversial, but basically when loading a replay, I compare it to the current replay and skip loading it if it's the same to avoid doubly initializing the same replay. The problem with this is that I need to compare the 2 replays because I have a decoded version and an encoded version, right? I potentially need to encode it, which could be relatively expensive. It shouldn't be too expensive. Let me have a look quickly at something. If I look at some larger replays, so if I search for replay, I'm just gonna see if I have, yeah, like I have a large replay here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open a new blank puzzle and I'm just gonna load this replay in and see what happens. So import, export, replay, save, load. So I have a 159 replay. Now, does this load the correct puzzle? Yes. And it loaded the replay. And it looks correct-ish. Now, I'd prefer to have a bigger one, but this is the biggest one in my download folder. Ooh. Google Analytics doesn't like this. All right. Content too large. Sucks to be you, Google Analytics. All right. No, it's all right. So let us replay encode. If I say log replay. So if I just do this, right? And then I reload here. Oh, it'll manage to put it in the URL, but it won't manage to load it with that URL. That is interesting. That is interesting. That's cool. Okay. So, replay.encode. So, let's see. Time. We're just going to call it replay.encode. Right? And then we're just going to put that in here. And refresh that. Nope. Refresh that. Load it again. Replay encode 23 milliseconds. So that's fine. I think also this is linear, so it's not like quadratic or something. So if the replay is 10 times as big as this, which it could probably be for a full solve of Sudokovania, it'll still be less than half a second. And even on a slow device, maybe a second. I mean, it sucks that this is a penalty it would have to apply every time. So it might be in the future desirable to be able to... no, the thing is, if the two because this handles both encoded and raw replay data and the string version. If what's available to the game is obviously the decoded version, so if what's get passed in is a string, yeah, so I'm thinking now, because it has to decode the puzzle anyways, and I wouldn't be surprised if decoding and encoding are take roughly the same time, and we can potentially, I'll put this here, it would be more beneficial to compare them in the decoded state. The reason it's not doing that here is because that's additional code, but I could write that now. It's probably not the worst thing. Like, we probably just want to compare, like, basically these properties. So we can do something like p.compare replays. And that probably should be on the replay object. So we probably want to do this. F10 replay. There we go. So probably... The problem is replay is a collection of tools that accepts all sorts of replay, you know, converts and supports different replay formats, in theory. In practice, there's only one in use. For now, I'm going to do a compare function here, which I think makes the most sense. There's a weird sound, and I'm guessing it comes from the music, but it sounds like a vibration. Wait, I'm gonna stop the music for a sec. Yeah, it's definitely in the music. So it's just like a bzzz, and it makes me, anyway, it makes me feel like there is a phone vibrating somewhere nearby. All right, so we're gonna compare them. Replay A, replay B, and now the music just stopped. Ah, no, it's the next one. Okay. So now we're gonna just look at that, and we're gonna, instead of doing this, let me try this. So we're gonna do this. We time that. We're gonna move this up there. Right. Replay decode. Now, it's doing it in both directions, which is so silly. If type of replay is string, type of replay equals string, new replay, replay.encode. Because we're first encoding it, and then we're decoding it again, which is so silly. No, we're not decoding it again. The thing is, ultimately, we need it in a decoded state. And it comes in as not a string. So it's already been decoded at this point, right? Because we output it here. So we're just going to do... I'm going to put this here, replay. What about opts? Replay. So we'll do it encoded. So let enc. We'll do that. We'll do that. Right. And then we'll do that down here. Right. So we're not messing with any of that. And then, you know, we kind of compare them. So the comparison is current replay. I'm just going to say something like current replay equals encoded replay. And that should be basically instantaneous, even though they're quite large. Compare result is that, right? And we're just going to say console.log current replay.length, because at this point this should return a string, right? And then encoded replay.length. So I'm going to run this quickly. Right? And then we're going to reload that. So encoding took 21 milliseconds. Decoding took 9 milliseconds. So decoding is faster than encoding. I mean, I'm guessing it could be variance, right? It's not guaranteed. But since we have to decode it anyways, we should compare. Now the comparison, like I suspected, means nothing, right? Current replay will be small because it'll be empty. Right. And we would save this as well, I think, if we can compare it. So we need a get replay that is not that doesn't do the encoding. Because replay encode this puzzle. So play I'm gonna do replay.create, and it's gonna do the same thing but without the JSON stringify, basically. So it's gonna do this without the JSON stringify. I'm gonna full screen this just for a second. So here we're pulling this out of here. Actions equals actions or replay stack. That's the local variable, right? And then we're doing that. So if I do so here I'm gonna do this. And then we're gonna do just replay. And then we do new REPL car REPL. And then the current replay will be replay.create. So wait, get replay was this.puzzle. So this.puzzle. So if I do this, right? We'll do that. Load it. Bring that in. And new replay, current replay. Now I want to look at these a little bit. I'm going to make them a bit bigger because they're probably hard to read. And 1 second, let me just see. Say hi in the chat if you're watching this, because I feel so lonely. So, so the new replay is that, the current is that. Here in the replay, the data comes in as a string. That's annoying. So because the no, the data should be compressed here as well. Oh, but it's been decoded from wherever it comes in from. Oof. Oh. Yeah, I screwed up by making the encode and decode functions not perfectly symmetrical. Alright, I'm gonna reload this again just so I get that stack trace. And I don't have to use brain power to actually find it. But basically, I want to find out where the load replay gets called from, which should be here. So we want to go to 536 app load replay in load progress. So this comes out of load progress. Right. Let's also output that. Just want to see if it's a string here. JSON parse progress dot replay equals undefined decode progress dot replay. Replay fix replay. Oh no. What does fix replay do? Strip trailing unpause actions. So it's been modified. Now the question is, do I have to modify the current replay to make it match? I mean, the worst case scenario is the optimization doesn't hit, right? If it comes back as a mismatch. But by basically using two different processes, it's a little spicy. I wonder if I should upstream it to load progress instead. Replay.decode, load replay. Replay.decode progress.replay. So progress gets parsed, and then replay gets decoded, and then I'm running load replay. So replay is basically always already decoded here. But isn't the problem that currently the decoded replay, it looks like this, right? But okay, so it's the create function here that's doing something. Replay.create. So the decode doesn't, does the unzipping here. So we don't want to do this zipping. And the thing is, it zips only the replay data. It doesn't zip the outer data, which is just a little bit awkward. But basically, we kind of want this, I believe. Yeah, it hurts me to patch this in like that because it's something that's been on my to-do list for a long time, and I feel like it'd be easy to screw this up, so I should be very careful. But wait, why does options here? Oh, because I'm not outputting options. So now the incoming replay looks like this. The replay created by create looks like this. But data is still a string because A to Z A to Z. Okay, wait a second. Replay.create framework.app.puzzle. Right? That'll let me test it with data in it. Ah, so we don't want A to C in here. We kind of just want to do this. Oh, in fact, here it says actions. It doesn't even say data. Ah. So we don't even do that. We do that. And then it should match up. And it should look like this. Alright. Oops. Go back to here. Load it in. Like that. So current replay. Now this should be after loading. So we have 6,921, 6,921. And these two should match. And then we can do a function that takes this. Although this is not any, it's not doing any work here. It's not doing any encoding. Yeah. And now we can do replay compare. Right. So now we can do something like replay compare. Compare. Comp res. Boom, boom, right? Oh, wait, we have a different compress here. But we don't really need this anymore now. So, we're just gonna do that. Right. And we'll do replay. And this. And nothing encoded or decoded. In fact, we'll run it first before any of the other stuff runs. And then we can compare how fast it is, right? So we'll check basically all the keys. And I think only actions is an array. Is there really no JavaScript native object compare? JavaScript native object compare. Is there like a native performant JavaScript object comparison? Why can't I get this to... No, Windows. No. Ugh. I don't know why. I think the Power Toys zones are... I think if I take this and I go... No. It's applied to stupid zones. Why? Why did you do this? I didn't do this. I have fancy zones for other monitors, not for this one. No. No layout. And this monitor is not here. So now I should be able to... No. No! I literally just set it to no layout. No layout. No layout. Fancy zones ignores no layout. Microsoft, when you do this, when your tool is worse than not having the tool. You're doing something different, right? It's doing a quick visual so you know what the layout is. If I close fancy zones, can I now... Now it's working the way it should. And now it's not working. What? It worked a second ago. Did I not just close it? Fancy. What is my computer's also partially freezing. Why is it still a preview? Power Toys has been around for like a decade or more. Why is Power Toys still a preview? God damn it. All right. No, what's this? Why is this open even? None. Okay. Can I do the corners? Yes. Okay, thank you. Why? Why? All right, where were we? Yes, so we just wanted to compare these. No, we wanted to see if there is a native comparison, which I closed it. Okay, JavaScript native object comparison with, perform it. And now it's broken again. Are you kidding me? Here it works. Windows docking messed up. Come on, Microsoft. Why? Oh, Jesus Christ. Windows 11 window docking not doing half and quarter. Show snap lights when I hover over a Windows minimize button. Checking Vista updates or using the keyboard shortcuts. Go to settings mode task, snap Windows toggle set down, by snap Windows action. Windows 11 Power Toys. Fancy zones, breaks, docking. Breaks docking could be due to incorrect settings, software or bug. Fix this issue, ensure you have the latest PowerToys version installed. Settings. Because the problem is I need it for my vertical monitor. So can I hold Shift key? Can I not move this window? Hold Shift key. So for this one, yeah, that's the one I want for that. For this, I don't actually want that either. I want no layout. Boom. Why can't I grab this window? Jesus. Okay. Can I? Now it's working again. Before it wasn't working for a bit. There's this gap between windows. Like I can see background between the gap. This is new, like not new. This is an old issue, but it's back again. Windows 11 gap between windows. Like I think the edges are transparent and then the background shines through and it's ridiculous. Background shows through window edges. There's a gap between blah blah blah. Restart. All right, so maybe this will get fixed by reboot, but It shouldn't be happening at all. $11. Okay, this is gonna turn into another episode of me debugging Windows for some reason. How to fix Edge running backgrounds? Windows Edge, no. How do you get border to show when file? Window blinds, gaps around resized window. How to fix transparent rectangle box up here above. Background, okay. This is all pointless. Let's see if I can ignore it. But this bugs me because you see this bright white line here. Yeah, it shows up on the video. So you have the purple and the white here. Actually, let me do a screenshot and see if I zoom in on that. Like, I think it's, oops. I think, can I? No, how can I move it? Can I just drag it? How do I drag the window? Do I have to use scroll bars? Are you kidding me? No. Can I just... I'm doing it again. Snipping tool, how to drag. How to drag window view. How to move image. How to grab and drag view. Off screenshot. Off zoomed screenshot. Without drawing lines. I don't want to fucking draw a line. I'm drawing lines, simply click and drag anywhere in the image itself, or use the slider bars in a marker support. And as already discussed, you cannot pan while you're in the process of taking the initial snip. Applies to an already captured open screenshot within snip. You cannot pan. Are you kidding me? Anyway, what I'm trying to look at is, I don't think it adds pixels. Like, there's this gray bar, so I think it's like there's a transparent line, then there's a gray line. Anyway, I'm wasting time, and all I wanted to find out is if there's an object comparison native one, because no, I don't want to convert to JSON, because that's a stringification. No, this is not slow. JavaScript compared performance. Native large object comparison. So I don't want to turn them to strings. You turn that array into an object or map indexed by prop1 instead. That way, that rather than of each element, you see if it matches. Just look up the elements. Prop. No, we don't want to make new maps and whatnot. Design was terrible until we. All right. What's the JavaScript library called that does the deep underscore deep compare? Isn't there like a easier using strings to give the name of modification? Blah 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 is equal. Yeah, I don't. JavaScript tiny is equal. What is a tiny is equal implementation that I don't have to build from scratch? Let's see how what they consider tiny. We want this link. How tiny is it? How tiny is it? How tiny is it? Minimal weight utility similar to is equal for when every byte counts. Perform a deep recursive comparison between objects. It differs from the ones we write. It requires the two values to have the same prototype and properties, including unenumerable ones. The same prototype properties. If it doesn't have the same properties, what happens? Because we could easily have something missing. I'm concerned. And we don't actually need any of these. Read length. I mean, it's basically what I would have to run, right? It checks that the prototypes are the same. Check equality does what? Check equality does... Oh, it's just recursively calling this. Do I want to include this? Or do I want to write a primitive version myself? I mean, it seems small enough. Ooh, it's not that small. How big is it? It's 1.4 kilobytes. Alright, I'm just gonna do it myself. I'm just gonna do it myself. It's the wrong window. Alright. We can look at it to use the basic sort of principles, so we're not making the same mistakes from scratch. For example, what is a cheap way of getting on properties? Get on properties is from get on property symbol, object.get on property symbol, concat object get on property symbols. I'm not familiar with that. There's another setting with an area of all symbol properties found directly on a given object. Okay, so symbol object, either this exists or it's doing a function that says get the keys concatenated with get on property symbols. Object. If this exists, it uses that. Oh, so it's really just object.keys. Okay. So first we check if the properties are the same, right? A type is, where does A type come from? A type to string call A. Okay, so it's taking the first 8 letters of the string of the type. Okay, that's how it determines if it's an array or whatever. And I'm thinking sum return check equal to a key refs. So if it's checking equality off, return false. If, then return false. So if any of these are not equal, so that's just looking at the keys. So if any of the keys are different, okay, are they sorted? A key. Because I don't actually want to make them, you know, different by order. Like I don't want to compare by order. Okay, this is getting, it's always more complicated than you think. I kind of should know how many there are, but I don't want to presume, right? Also, I don't want to have to reload this every time. So, all right, to get the keys, it uses basic object.keys, right? And it runs it twice on both. I guess we can't avoid that, right? So, const keys a equals object.keys replay. And let's not do the silly mixed capitalization. And I'll do B. Now we say if keys a dot length is not equal keys b dot length, return false. This will give a false negative if we have two objects. Let's say if we have the object like a equals 1, b equals 2. If we want to compare this with an object that looks like this, I think, but we'll see in a sec. And in fact, let's just make a little test harness. JavaScript. No, we don't need async. We're gonna do a little test harness here. We'll have our function compare. Just do the compare function here. Compare. Right, and then we'll do this. Should we put the two objects here? A, B. And then we'll do log compare A, B. Oop. So if I run this here, false. All right. And right now this will be undefined. Okay. So then we go through the keys, similar to what they're doing here, I suppose. A elements.sum. A, B. B being A, B. Okay, so it's just looking, yeah, obviously. So, so then we can do console. Whoop. We'll do console.log keys a.sum, and then there's just key compare. Now here I think we just call these A and B. A, B, compare A key to B key. Boom, 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 boom. Right? And we should be able to run this anywhere. False, 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 false. So this should come back true. Let's do the length. Well, length. Just do this. Keys a.sum. So length true true. Keys.sum false. Huh? Keys.sum false. Compare B. What does that look like? A, B. So at first we'll compare the objects, and then we'll compare the other stuff, right? Compare A, B, 1, 1, 2, 2. Yeah, wait a second. And then what's the third case? So we're going through each object, and we're saying we're going through each property. And what are we passing in as refs? Refs. Where's refs being used? Check equality. It's just passing it through refs. Check if we've seen this reference before. If yes, return true. Oh, okay. Oh. So it does have a circularity check, which might be useful. if refs index of. It's interesting that refs here doesn't get initialized. Ah, okay. So we can do this, right? So we have gone to checking the length. No, if A equals B, return true. Okay. If so, we want to do this before we do any of these things, right? If A equals B, return true. Right, they're the same reference. If A equals null or B equals null, or B equals null, return false. Both are null undefined. The above check would have returned true. If both are null, okay, if one of them is null, we return false. Okay. Check to see if we've seen this reference before. If yes, return true. Okay. If refs index of A is greater than equal and refs index of B, return true. Okay. Now we're pushing the references. Refs.push AB. Okay. If A type is different from B type, return false. So here we're looking at the types of A and B, of the objects themselves. Okay. ToString is object prototype.toString. All right, so we probably want to do this up here. Const, boom. And we can probably just do this. Right, and then we can do, so after this, we do the type checks. So we can do const, we'll just say type A, type B, right? And then we'll check if either one of these are different, if type A is not equal to type B, return false. So now we know the types are the same. Okay, now we're doing this. We're getting the keys. And we're doing the length checks. And let's just make sure we're still looking at the same thing. Compare length is true. Compare AB11, key sum true. So if length or, didn't we do the length check already? Ah, we did that here. Return false. If sum is not equal, and we want to pass in the refs here. If not, no, if sum not, turn false. Okay. Compare AB 1 2 1 2 undefined. All right. So now we're checking the actual type. And then here it's looking only at A. Ah, but we know the type is the same. Okay. So log type A. And now that gets us type object, all right, and we really just want to handle object string and date, basically. Type object, boom. So we'll do switch, yada yada. Right. All right. Formatting, very important. We can compare is equal. Cool. All right, get prototype of A. Now get prototype of, it's also pulling out of object. Get prototype of. So we could do get prototype off, comma, prototype to string, like that. And the get prototype off, get prototype A, B, refs. Why are we checking the quality of the prototype? I don't quite understand that. Check equality A, B. Get prototype off. All right. Default return false. So if I did this, unexpected token squigglies. Is equal. Do we have compare in here somewhere in the sum? No, is equal. Where does it not like the squiggly? 3. Here it doesn't like the squiggly. Get prototype, prototype. This is, I think, how it should be. I'm being flippant and quick. Hey, Keith. I've been live for a couple of weeks. I've caught up with VODs. Oh, wow. Yeah, I'm feeling all right. Trying to remember what it was last Saturday. Mostly suffering from sleep deprivation. I didn't manage to sleep before 2 last night, and then at 7, my dog started bouncing around. It's not compare. It's is equal. I always struggle with sleep. So jealous of people who just sleep, and then I waste so much time trying to fall asleep and trying to get enough sleep. It's really time consuming. All right, so type object. And then is equal, it looks at the prototypes. Okay. Now these would be identical. Yeah, okay. So, because at that point we've already compared all the keys, which is curious. Like, for example, for an array, if we have compared all the keys of an array, didn't we already compare all the elements? Keys A, keys B. I'm curious now. If I do this, right? Keys A, keys B, A, B, B, C, false. And if I use this one, keys A, keys B, length the same, the keys are the same. Okay. Now if I say AR 0, 1, 2, and I put that on both sides, right, is equal keys A 0, 1, 2. So it uses object.keys on arrays as well. Is that a problem? I feel that might not be great. I feel like that might not be great. Okay, if we do array, and if I for default say throw new error unhandled type, right, and then we'll just say const type equals that. And we'll do that. And then we don't do any of this stuff. And make this part of the check. right? So if I do this now, we should get the unhandled, right? Ah, no, because we're claiming to handle it, right? So let's do this. So this now becomes part of the object handling, right? Keys blah blah blah. Return false, return is equal. Okay. So if I do this, unhandled type. Okay, so we need to do this here. And it should say array. Okay. So now we do case array. Boom. And then we'll do basically something akin to what? Oh, my stomach. It's been upset for 15 years. Yeah. It's probably gonna kill me one day. That's probably how I'm gonna go. Alright. So we'll do the length thing. If dot length is not equal b dot length, return false. Empty slots are equal. Element a length element plus plus element is 0. A dot length. Oh, okay. So we're just literally doing a for loop here. So this is gonna be for. I'm gonna use I for index because I'm not a maniac. I plus plus, and then we'll do this. We'll just take that. No point for me to rewrite that. If not I in a, continue. Now, empty slots are equal. If both are empty, we continue. If either one slot is empty, but not both, or the elements are not equal. If n is not element in A, or I'm just wondering if I could avoid some of the in checks here. Excuse my nose. But I basically have to split on A and then split again and bifurcate on B and basically unroll these just to avoid, because I don't know if these in checks are expensive, but I'm just gonna trust the optimizer, I guess. All right, so if I in A is not equal I in B, or not is equal. Now I'm wondering if by the end I'm writing this, if it's actually going to be smaller than the minified version of that. Ugh, I'm not sure. Not is equal IA, BA, refs. Boom. If these are not equal, then return false. Boom. Else return true. So that should be the array check, and then it'll should hit keys blah blah blah. It's an object. Each element in the object type array object is equal I guess this will hit true for a string. So we don't actually need to handle strings? Like it'll never get to that because they'll just be identical? Right? Ah. Oh, wait. Okay. If I do this, can we just check equality here? Because I'm checking that there's only one object, which is the first one. These aren't hitting here because they reach equality here. So if I say string, like if I make them two different strings, new string. String A equals string A true new true. So strings can just be equal, huh? But then wouldn't two arrays be not equal? I'm trying to think, because arrays are references, right? So does that... Because wouldn't that apply to Boolean as well? Like, shouldn't we never reach these primitive types here? Because of that equality. Because primitives and referentially equal objects. Primitives. But... So, for example, Boolean true, is that equal to Boolean true? JavaScript reference to string. Can I do something like, if I say I create two new string objects, right? So let's say let SA equal new string, SB equal new string, console.log SA equals SB, then SA equals A, SB equals B. Now they should not be equal, and then SB equals A, and now they should be equal again? Like, are these just primitives, or can I create string object references? False, false, true. Can I create a JavaScript how to create a string object, not primitive? New string, C. So if I do this, they're still gonna say ah. So if I make this a new string A and this new string A, so because one of them was a primitive. Ah, okay. So that brings us through to here. Okay. String. So that should be relatively easy to handle though. It's similar to Boolean, right? So it just forces it to a string. So it's kind of just this. Just changing these out. And now we get back true, but we're now comparing a string, an array. And if I say number 1 and number 1, is that enough, or does it have to be new number? New number 1. Okay. So if I say new number, boom. Unhandled type number. Okay, so number I'm guessing is similar. Oh no, number and date. Alright. I'm gonna ignore set and map because I'm not using these personally very much. Right. Gotta do that. Do that. Date number that. We'll just do it like this. this and this. String boolean. Okay, get rid of that. Convert dates to milliseconds. Check for NaN. Okay, is that something that needs doing, or convert dates to ms? Check for NaN. Okay, so the other thing is the NaN check. So if I do this now, it'll come through, and they'll come through as true. Now if I put C undefined in one of these, will it come as false? Because the keys are... okay, I'm okay with that. I would like to consider them equivalent, but I'm okay with it being... coming back as false. Alright. I think for now that's basically all I want to do. I mean, have they saved themselves something by doing the key comparison first? I feel like they're comparing twice, because I feel object.keys will basically compare an array already. If any of them comes back as false... yeah, doesn't... for non-null object, check all custom properties. Because this checks all the... because objects.keys returns the indexes of an array, I think. Or it can. So that's a bit of a weird approach. But that's the problem, right? I don't know if this is... oh my god, you scared the hell out of me. Hey guys. Hey Poochie. Hey Toby. Keith just inquired about your well-being. So I told him that you were bouncing around last night. But I think that's an indication that you're doing well. That means you got enough sleep. And that you're ready for your day, even if I'm not. Alright. So this comes back as false, and if I remove this, it should come back as true. Okay. Now, this is a generic object is equal, basically a deep object comparison. So I might want to put this into utilities instead of a script. So we're going to put this in here. And it's probably a fairly primitive function. Is there no category for SVG? Like, I feel like it should be pretty high up. But I'm going to add it here. And I'm going to call this object is equal. Or object. There are objects. I'm wondering if I should be closurifying this. Yeah, we'll probably wanna do function is equal refs. So this doesn't have refs in it. And we can do this. And then we'll just do return is equal a b. I guess we can do that then. Return. All right. We pulled this out. I don't think there's anything else we can pull out. And now we can use this over here or over here. And for now, I can literally just do this. Return, compare objects, replay A, replay B. But in the future, by routing it through replay.compare, we can do some format detection type stuff. And now, I think we can go back to here and try this. So if I go here, reload. Ooh. Ooh. E timed out. What's timing out? Econ refused? What are you talking about? What are your aggregation error? Aggregate error. Plausible proxy.web. Kill all node. Node process found. What? All right. We're starting up. Itchy nose. Okay. All right. I'm remembering what I need to do. I need to get something working on WSL1 that currently is only working on WSL2 because Rust somehow has a problem with WSL1. All right, here we are. Here we are. So, compare is 0.08. The encode and decode are so much slower. And that's kind of why I wanted to do this, right? So this saves, it's only 20 milliseconds like right now, but the replay can be 10 times larger. Suddenly it's 200 milliseconds, and it could be on a device 5 times slower like a phone, and suddenly we're waiting a second, right? And a second, and it might happen 2 or 3 times. In fact, here it's happening twice. And I'd rather it be so fast that I don't even have to think about it. And we probably want to output what the result actually is. Right? And now it breaks again here. Why? Why? I don't know. Didn't do that before. What's changed? Compress is false. And I believe it's because the keys might be in a different order. Like, these two should be the same. Ah, no, actions are a different number. A different count. You see, now that is a bit of a problem, because they should be the same. And they start the same. Like, these are the same, right? Which means they don't end the same, which means that little piece of code that fiddles with the ending messes that up. So I have to kind of run that code. What's the last one? 16892, 16920. So 16892 is up, all right, and 16892 is also up. So all of this is, why is all of this removed? Ah, maybe it's because the replay is actually different, because I maybe clicked something and selected something, so the local replay is now different than the file that I originally loaded. No. Oh, wait, what? Compress false. It has the same number of actions. I'm gonna have to output why the comparison fails, which is a little bit of a pain in the butt. I'm not gonna lie. Let's have a quick look. So here we want to do console.log fail A equals B, comma true. So if I do this, right? And then I'll do the same thing. Oh no, not on a true. On a true we don't actually need. Fail. No. Blah blah blah. Fail. Types. All right. And then here. Fail. fail D. Wait. So return, instead of return false. Oop. We're just gonna replace the false with this. Fail DE. Make this A, B, C, we're skipping, D, E, F, G. H. So if I do this, go back to here, refresh, and I'm gonna load it twice before I should load it twice before I even look at it. So if I load it again now. Oh. Because I'm not sure hovering over it shouldn't create actions. But if I do this, compresses fail F, fail E, fail F, array, fail F, and fail E is the keys are different. Now the problem is, this isn't actually necessarily going to give me the information I need. I probably want to stringify it. Compressed false. So it failed on the keys. Which is strange because these look identical. Rows type version. Keys. Because it would hit one of these eventually, right? Probably what I have to do is I have to actually interject this result, and when it turns false, that's when I have to output what made it turn false. Bonk. Fail F. An empty array. Wait, what? Are you kidding me? Fail F. An empty array. Why is it comparing it to an empty array? Okay, probably because it runs it twice, right? It probably runs it once against after it's reset, and the second time with the thing, which is, well, that's why it needs to be fast. So fail E. So E, and I'm seeing the order of the keys is different. But then when I open it, the order changes. So it's not showing me. So we need to sort the keys, unfortunately. No, wait. We shouldn't have to sort the keys because we're using key here. One sec. Let us copy this, mark this out, just to make sure I'm not gonna do something weird here. I mean, the whole thing's a bit weird. We'll do that. Right. We need another one of those. Let res equal compare objects, return not res. So if any of them are false, so if res equals false, console.log fail E at, and then it's key and the two values. Boom, 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 Boom. Okay. So we go back here. Now I've messed up my thingies, my alignment here. And now we want to go here. We want to load the replay data back in here. Okay, fail at version. There are different replay versions. Ouch. Is that... I haven't even thought of that. Do we want to exclude everything else and only look at the actions? Probably, we probably only want to look at puzzle ID and actions. So if we go in here, and then we'll say compare our dot puzzle ID, and then do the same thing with actions. Maybe that makes more sense. Because the version change shouldn't disqualify our comparison here. So if I do this, and now compress false, and now if I do it again, boom, it's false again. You see, I feel like I'm getting bamboozled here because I think when I uncollapse this, the contents will change. So I'm gonna have to create a reference here. So what we gotta do is we gotta do something like let new REPL equals JSON dot parse JSON dot stringify. So we're sure, 100% sure, we're getting a new unique copy of this object that isn't gonna change under our butts. Because that's just wasting our time and attention, frankly. Because I'm looking at the wrong things here. Man, JavaScript objects are not trivial. So now it's false. But can I pinpoint why? So actions here are empty. But now the puzzle is loaded in. What I suspect is that before the loading happens, we're actually resetting it. Which means it'll always be new. Now, this could be... I'm starting to wonder if loading in the manual of the replay like that is actually gonna be always irrelevant, because it goes through some sort of process, load payload here, where it restarts the puzzle before it loads in the replay. Does that make sense? I don't think so, because it should already do that. Load replay. Okay. Feature. Replays. replay save. So if I go to 70 something here, and if I get rid of that, because the replay save feature is not used for the case that I'm trying to optimize, but it is what I have access to when I'm doing things manually. So now, see, now it's different, but the next time I load it from the same file, and why did that just close now? It's like key presses happen without me doing them. Why is this not working? So it still got restarted somewhere. Resolve puzzle data. Yeah, so I think one of the issues is it's the reloading the puzzle data as well, which already, like, this already loads a blank puzzle. If puzzle ID is not equal to puzzle ID, then do this. Is that gonna do it? These aren't really changes I wanted to include though. The problem is I don't want to write from scratch the code that lets me drag the file in. It's a large replay, you know, pasting it in the thing. I don't fancy doing that. Okay. So now, can I just do this again? Nope. Why did it? Does it auto close? It's a weird timing for the closing of that dialogue. Something weird going on here. Yeah, you see the numbers are different. So I think something happens after loading the replay which modifies the data. So the next time I load it in, it is the modified data. And probably the code that was stripping it, which was the fix replay code. Fix replay. I don't wanna. I don't wanna do that. Because if I fix both of these replays, I also don't wanna. Yeah, because this modifies the replay data, which I don't really want to do here. So that now the question becomes, did this ever do something useful? It still might, right? It still might when the replay data doesn't come from here. Maybe I can test that. What if I say framework.app.load replay, and then the replay is framework.app.puzzle and replay.create. I mean, that should be true for sure, right? Yeah. Okay. All right. We have the positive result. Now, the fact that it is fast means there isn't really any harm in just running it. So I'm gonna get rid of this change, even though I think the restart puzzle here is unnecessary. And we probably don't want to reload the puzzle if it's already loaded. But it's a user interaction, so if that's like the performance there is not important. So we're going to discard these changes just to reduce the cognitive load here and make sure I'm not doing the wrong things. This is clean, that's fine. Now we need to clean this up. So we have I wonder if, because now I'm thinking if the version changes, it could be that there's some code that needs to react to the different version, and I might want to rerun a replay load if the versions don't match. But then the replay, if the replays are the same, they're the same, right? Like, for now, this will be fine. There's no deeper stuff in the replay data besides the action list, right? So the action list is really the only thing we care about. 2524, 2524. Because even if it's different puzzles, if they have the same action list, there's actually no point reloading anything. So we might only want to compare, but the other stuff, it's fast, so we don't need to care that much. All right, let's get rid of this. Well, that's not actually completely to get rid of. We need to now have that comparison actually do the thing, right? So before we did this, and then we had this. So we want to change this. So we want replay to always be decoded. So we're gonna move this above. So now replay is always decoded. And we can do replay create here and do this as our compare. Right. And then here we'll do our compare. Compare, and we'll do our replay that, and the incoming replay, which should be decoded. Okay. And maybe we can just do this. New replay encode. No. Because replay. Yeah, that's fine. I'm okay with that. I'm gonna do that. Then we can get rid of these. We still need that. But now we can get rid of all this other stuff. And then we can get rid of all of this. And that should be a relatively small change. So we've added this. We've added this, which is a little unfortunate. Because I almost want to make this use that, but it'll be a little messy. Now we've only added this one check here, which is kind of what we wanted, right? That's where we wanted to get to. Here we have our little sync steps, our throttles. And then here we've just had a few minor things. Okay, so these I'm actually happy with. So these are the changes I want to commit to beta. We no longer need that. That I don't even know what that is. All right, so I'm happy to commit these changes. The only issue is that our utilities that we saved, and I believe it might be this one, so let's not be dismissive. We'll be out of sync, so we have to resync that afterwards. But now we actually want to commit this to beta, and my god, my brain. I want to do, I don't think I have a, no, we do. So we want to bump a version here. Actually, no. And that's gonna be a minor, right? And then here we'll be putting that in. Wow, it's been a while. My brain is a little slow on this. Where was the last version bump? So something like that. Right, but obviously it's gotta be the correct version. which is this now. Puzzle load performance fixes large puzzles. Okay. All right. So we'll commit this. And now, which is going to be a bit annoying, we're going to have to resync our changes here, because we're bringing that in, but we're losing that whole compare objects addition. So we got to bring that back. That was here. And now I probably messed something up here with the white space. Ooh. Ooh. Whoop. Whoop. Like that. And then we'll have another white space issue here. Okay. And now this is all we had for the Markdown. I don't know how I constant that. It's probably the right thing to do, but I don't want it to pollute my diff here. So we gotta find where that is and change it back. Is it because we're trying to modify that down the line? Oh yeah, so we do need that. MD parse. Inline block. Inline block parse. MD parse. So really we kind of just want to do this and get rid of all of that. So that was the old one. We're just going to replace that one with the new one. I think that's the goal. Right. And now we're at the start of the stream, which is unfortunate because I have to end it soon. What I don't yet have is a thorough test set of tests things. I have some of them. And I feel like, okay, I can remove this now. I feel like I've been working on something there. Here, rich puzzle notes. I think we started building. No, this was the first sort of vagaries. I feel like somewhere here are probably the relevant nodes. Okay, this is all older stuff. For the kind of things it's supposed to support. Yeah. So I think that's the other issue now. We need to come up with... and we had our test run against existing puzzles. Oh, and we still haven't got our check. So I feel like I've kind of failed. I've done something different, but it's good because it took something out of the way, an issue I was having. Yeah, there's a part of me who wants to be able to just parse all puzzles, but I really shouldn't. And I've had a discussion recently about how to kind of trigger the parser, and I've gone back and forth on that, and now I don't remember what I had concluded. Like the different options, I mean, I kind of enumerated them here, right? So we had multiple alternative fields, which I think is a no-go. Probably this. Have to be the same format. No clean backwards compatibility data for other apps. I think that's fine. I mean, that's the whole idea of Markdown, that if it's in there, not a big deal. This I kind of don't like because it inflates the data, because then puzzles really have to supply both. So I think this one is the one that's the least problematic and the most sort of, that makes the most sense. The only issue with that is that our implementation here, which just sort of does it, can't actually be like this, right? So somewhere MD parse actually gets called. And is that part of our diff here? Wait a second. Okay, so we've added this for line break, to move the line break stuff to the bottom. One second, there's something weird going on here with the line collapse. Where is this? 182. It's pretty high up. 182. It used to be 182. Text to HTML. Text to HTML. That's for how many projects? So we did line break insertion first. The BR tags. Yeah, the BR tags can go to the bottom. That's fine. Res equals inner. Okay, so that's just a straight up change like that. Yeah, we're just removing that. We're adding the line break insertion here. And then here we're gonna say to do format switching. So because the problem is here it's just passing in the raw text. So we actually don't necessarily want that. Where's text HTML? The thing is, text HTML is run in a couple of places. Yeah, we don't want it here, frankly. We want it here. And maybe in the messages. So we actually want it here. And here. So let's do a to do here. To do mark text format detection markdown. And I think here we want to test if we can just exclude the MD parse outright and if it'll still work. So if I do this, right, and then finally, where was the search result? This one. Yeah, the other thing we could do is we could globally switch, right? Because the moment I'm going to release Markdown for the rules text, people are going to ask for it in the message text as well. So right now, this should now no longer parse. Fair enough. Yeah, I think I'm going to leave it at that for now, because the next step is actually slightly more complex. And I need to figure out how I'm going to push that data in here. I mean, here it's relatively easy, because I could just say always make it Markdown. Oh man, a very small voice makes me want to add some characters to the rules text, but they would be visible. And I don't want to do invisible characters. I don't want to do something screwy like that. All right, I think I'm going to leave it at that. We're not done yet, unfortunately, but it's fair today. I kind of missed the topic a bit, and I actually was working on the performance improvement stuff. I'm not going to push that right now. because I need to give it my brain and some testing. So I'm gonna push that probably tomorrow first thing, and then run the basic tests on beta. And then there's a couple of things on beta now that have accumulated, which we will probably want to release. And then cross our fingers that nothing implodes. I think I'll call it here. It's 8 and my brain isn't working properly. So I'm gonna call it here, and I'll see you guys in the next one. And thanks for hanging out. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I'm just here tinkering away, and it's good to know that sometimes people care that this stuff actually happens. All right, thanks. Have a good rest of your weekend, and have a good next week. Take care. Bye-bye. See you in the next one. Bye.